Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I am Becca. I went through a pretty big weight loss journey over the past few years that eventually turned into a running journey, and I was able to get my run time from a 15-minute mile down to a 9-minute mile. And I wanted to do a little summer running guide because I get a lot of questions pretty consistently about gear that I use, about tips and tricks that I have from the beginning of my journey as a relatively new runner. So I wanted to make a video for you guys so that you kind of have the tools to go into your runs with confidence. And even though you're a beginner, you might feel a little bit doubtful about certain things, and I hope that I can clear some of those up in this video. I am not a professional. This is just from my experience and things that I learned throughout my journey as somebody who was never active in my life. I don't think I ran more than like 2 miles, maybe 3, from childhood into adulthood until like this point in my life. So I feel like I'm a good guide sometimes because I literally didn't have any experience with running in any way. So let's get into this video. One of the big questions that I get pretty often is about injury and pain. So a lot of the questions are around like getting shin splints, feeling like you have a lot of cramps and things like that. So the first thing that I would always say is to make sure that you're stretching before your runs. And I know from personal experience, I did not stretch probably the first like 6 months of my running journey. And I was always getting shin splints. I was always getting calf pain. My quads would cramp up and all kinds of things. And this could also be due to things like electrolyte balance, which I will talk about a little bit later. But a lot of times it comes down to stretching and making sure that you're not overexerting yourself in the very beginning. A lot of us will go into running and think that we can just go out and run 3 miles, and you really need to take it slow, take the journey really one step at a time. My rule of thumb is, even now with long runs, is when I go out for a run, I start as slow as possible. Like my feet are hitting the ground and it almost feels like I'm walking until my body is comfortable with the run. And a lot of times that helps prevent injury and make sure that you're properly warmed up. Something that I would look out for is if you're feeling really intense pain, like if you're feeling shooting pains, if you're feeling pains that you probably know that you shouldn't be running through, don't continue. Just stop, walk, take your time. Talk to a doctor if you're brand new or if you have previous injuries to make sure that you're able to run at any kind of pace or any kind of speed, because sometimes you'll go into it being like, oh, I have this injury from 10 years ago, I'm sure it's fine. It might not be fine. So make sure that you talk to someone if you have serious injuries or things that cause you to have an injury that would be really serious. But my big tip for injury and pain is to make sure that you're stretching, start really slow, and really feel your body as you're going in. I would also tack on making sure that you're not doing too much too quickly. A lot of people go into running journeys, myself included, thinking that you can go in and just run a really long time. The first time that I tried to run, I think 2 miles, and I was sore for like a week. It was crazy. And I was like, I didn't realize that that was a thing. I didn't know that you could get sore from running, because to me, I was like, it's just fast, a little bit faster than walking. So why does it matter? But it does matter. Your body's not used to it. It really does cause a lot of stress on your body to run. So you need to make sure that you're easing yourself into it. Come up with a plan or get a plan from someone that will guide you into running that's up to your experience level and what you're comfortable with, especially if you have previous injuries and things like that. So the next question that I get pretty often is how I run for as long as I run. And honestly, it's just by running longer. And I know that that might sound kind of crazy, but for me, I started out with my running journey not having a coach. I have a coach now. In the beginning, I was just making a plan up myself. And the way that I was able to run longer when I was making my own plan was by doing interval runs. So this was something that I still do sometimes. If I'm really feeling tired and I don't want to do like a full run, I'll do an interval instead. I would do a mile on, a half mile off. But when I first started, I was doing like a half mile on, a half mile off, half mile on, half mile off, until I got to whatever distance that I was trying to hit. It was usually 3 to 5 miles at the very beginning. So I would do a half mile I would walk, a half mile I would run, and I would make sure that I was breathing really slow. I wasn't like speed walking or anything. I was taking my time and making sure that I recovered before I went into my running portion of the interval. And to me, I think interval runs are a really great option, but it's also like sometimes you have to go outside if you're trying to run your first 10K. Once you've gotten enough experience with running and you know what to expect, sometimes you just have to go out there and push through to get to that next mile. And that's just just what it is. But that's once you have time, once you have your base figured out. If you're curious about like a very, very basic running journey, I have a couple of videos in the very beginning of my channel. I think I only have like 20 videos up, so you don't have to scroll too far. But I have a couple of other videos that explain more about like the basics of running. So if you want to check those out, you can. The next question that I get pretty often is how I run faster. And this is when my coach comes in. So because I started running by myself and I was just making a plan up for myself and doing everything on my own, I did not start running faster until I got my coach. Maybe I shaved like 2 minutes off of my run time, but when I got my coach, yeah, she got me in shape very quickly. So the thing that I noticed and that she has explained to me is that speed training is what helps you to get faster. And this is like running hills, doing track workouts, doing sprint intervals and things like that. And that honestly has been the hardest thing for me as somebody who has never been an athlete. Doing any kind of speed training is exhausting and it's really, really hard. It also requires a lot of mental strength because you have to push through a lot to get through a speed training workout, and that was something that I wasn't used to. So I honestly feel like speed training not only helped me get faster, but it helped me to develop this like thing in my brain, this like focus in my brain to just be like, I have this thing to do, I'm just gonna do it. And I love that about speed training, but even to this day it's still really hard. So if you're trying to get faster, I would definitely say that you need to work on speed training, try to do some hill work, try to do some track work and things like that so that you can get your speed up and your endurance up. And yeah, that's speed training is my worst nightmare and my worst enemy, if I'm being honest, but it does make you get faster. So on getting a coach and training and things like that, you don't have to get a coach. I got a coach because I was training to run on trail and she just followed me into everything else. She actually did the last portion of my marathon training for me and it helped me so much because she gave me a lot of information that I needed. But if you don't want to pay for a coach or you don't feel like you are ready for a coach, you don't have to do that. There are so many apps that will give you free training, like the Nike Run app, Runna, or Couch to 5K if you're just starting out. I think those are really great options. I, at some point in my journey, remember doing guided runs on the Nike Run app and I loved them. I felt like they were really helpful. They were so encouraging and they were really useful. I've never used Runna or Couch to 5K, but I hear such amazing things about them that I'm sure that they're really great apps. A lot of people have said that they trained for a half marathon or a full marathon using one of those apps. So I feel like those are great options if that's something that you're looking for. The next question that I get pretty often is about fuel and what you should eat, when you should eat, and things like that. I'm going to tell you right now, this is very much up to preference. Some people can kind of eat whatever they want before a run and it doesn't make a difference. I'm not one of those people. Personally, I have a staple, which is oatmeal that I can eat before a run, and it's one of the only things that doesn't mess up my stomach. But a lot of people can do other things and I can't. There are people who don't eat at all before runs. I can't do that. I used to not eat before a run because it messed up my stomach pretty bad, or I would get really nauseous or really sick. But now I have a system that helps me. I have a rule of thumb where I will not eat 2 hours before my run, which basically means that I eat a bowl of oatmeal, I wait an hour, and then I get dressed for my run, I do my stretch for my run, and then at that point it's 2 hours and I can go. But some people are different and it's something that you have to test out yourself and see what works for you. Also, electrolytes. I use Element packets for my electrolytes because I sweat a lot when I run, so I always get really tired if I'm not doing some kind of electrolytes. This also is up to personal preference and what you need, so you're gonna have to test that out. Element packets do have a decent amount of sodium in them, so I wouldn't just blanketly recommend them to everybody. I would say if you think that you need it, maybe ask a doctor if you need to. I don't know. That's what works for me. I love Element packets. And even then, I know some people will just do salt. Like Element, you don't have to use Element. I personally love Element because I think it tastes really good. And again, I sweat a lot. So for me, like taking an Element packet isn't anything crazy. Like I actually need it for when I'm running more than like an hour. So yeah. One other thing when it comes to nutrition, I would say to try to avoid fiber before a run. You guys know that I am moving out of this apartment because it was making me sick. So I took time off from running because I just couldn't run. And when I started running again, I don't know why I had this idea that it was okay for me to eat a salad before a run. And every single time I got sick. Every time. So I would definitely make sure that you're not eating huge amounts of fiber before you go on a run. Even if you're going on a shorter run, try to eat something that's a little bit slower digesting, something that's going to be gentle on your stomach, because fiber before a run is not a good idea. It will cause a lot of discomfort and hurt your stomach. So I would just take the time to see what works for you and see what doesn't. But I would say most people don't do well when they eat a lot of fiber before a run. One of the other most common questions that I get about running is breathing techniques. For me, I like to breathe with my stride. So as my feet hit the ground, that's how I breathe. And there are a lot of different techniques. Some people do different types of breathing. I breathe in through my nose, out through my mouth, and I breathe as my feet are hitting the ground. I feel like one of the easiest ways to make sure that you're breathing well while you're running is to, again, start really, really slow. Go out and just like slowly move your body. Don't go super fast. Move your pace really slow. And as you're going, breathe as naturally as you can. And if you really need something to focus on, think about your feet hitting the ground. I do notice sometimes if my music is really fast, it'll increase my breathing and increase my pace. So maybe in the beginning, try to listen to music that's a little bit slower. I'm really sorry. They're doing construction on this apartment, so I apologize if it's loud. I hope you can hear me because I am not re-recording this. One of the other things I get a lot of questions about are my running gear. So I do wear a running vest. A lot of people say like, oh, you don't need a running vest, blah, blah, blah. I need a running vest. I sweat a lot in the summertime. In the winter, less so, but don't be embarrassed about wearing a running vest. Some people are going to be like, you don't need to wear one. It's not a big deal. It's not that serious. If you want to wear it, wear it. If you need water, wear it. Even if you don't, running vests are great for storage. I bring weapons with me when I run, so I make sure that I have space to put it somewhere that's easily accessible. Sometimes I just wear a fanny pack and that's fine, but in the summertime, if it's really hot or I'm going on a really long run on a long trail, I'll bring my running vest with me so that I have water, so that I have my fuel, so that I have the things that I need to make sure that I feel safe and that I can do the entire run without feeling like I'm going to be in some kind of danger or something happening. For running shoes, I've said this a million times, you need to get fitted for your running shoes, okay? Fleet Feet and REI will do it for free, and it's honestly probably the best thing that I ever did because I was wearing the wrong running shoe size for a really long time. I was wearing a half size smaller than what I needed, so I would go in and go to those places you can get fitted for free. Personally, I love Hoka. They're my babies. I love Hoka. The shoes that you guys have been seeing in all my videos recently are the Hoka Skybird X's, and I love those shoes. I wore those shoes for my first half marathon. Did I? I wore those shoes for one of my races. I don't remember, but I love Hoka. They've been a tried and true for me, but you might like Brooks, you might like Nike, you might like Asics, you might like something else. So I would go in and try shoes out. I know that there are a lot of influencers, myself included, who wear different running shoes all the time, and you might see it and be like, oh my gosh, these are so cute. I love them. But a lot of times you have to find what works for your foot and what works for you, because I am flat-footed. So a lot of shoes that other people can wear, I cannot wear because they will cause me a whole lot of pain and a whole lot of discomfort. So for me, being flat-footed and I have a 4-foot stride, I have to wear specific types of shoes, and so do you. So I would go in and get fitted. I will tell you guys the shoes that I'm wearing because a lot of you just want to know because you think they're cute or anything like that. So I'll still tell you the shoes that I wear. My rotation, I'll put it on the screen somewhere so you can see it. But these are the shoes that I prefer, and if you end up being able to wear those shoes and you like them too, great. And if you try them on and they don't feel comfortable, or they feel a little weird, or they feel a little off, they might not be the shoe for you, and that's okay. Something else I want to touch on when it comes to running gear is you really don't need a lot in the beginning. When I first started running, I was wearing a pair of shoes I had for 3 years. I was wearing shorts and a shirt that I had for a really long time, like gym clothes that I had from high school. That's what I was wearing when I first started running. And I know that a lot of us have this inclination to be like, oh, I'm going to start running and I need all of this stuff in order for me to start. No, you just need to start. I actually think it's better to buy gear after you've been a little bit more experienced with running so that you know what you would be comfortable with. Personally, my legs rub together a lot when I run, so I use this like leg chafing thing on my legs, but that also means that I can't wear super tight shorts. I see a lot of girls wearing like really tight shorts when they run, and I'm like, good for you, because my legs would start a fire if I did that. You know what I mean? So I would wait a little bit and see what you're comfortable with. Use the things that you already have and see where you are with your gear that you have. Because sometimes like you find out, oh, like I chafe under my arms, so maybe I don't want to do tank tops, or I don't really like leggings because I get really hot when I run, so I do want shorts. I still wear shorts, but I only wear shorts that have like kind of a frill on the side and have a little bit of looseness because it makes me more comfortable and I don't feel as like exposed in a way, because my legs do rub together a lot, and I feel like if they do rub together and they start turning red, then I feel uncomfortable, and then I don't want to finish the run and all these things. So I would take that into consideration before you start buying gear. Just give yourself like a month. You know, if you really need running shoes, buy running shoes. If you really need like shorts or a sports bra or anything like that, buy it. But I would see what you have available to you immediately before you buy gear, and then as time goes on, you can start stocking up on things that you feel like you need. On that, I would say too, get good running socks. That if you are going to buy anything at the beginning of your running journey, get good running socks and make sure that your shoes fit properly. Because for me, I get the most insane blisters, and it's almost completely stopped when I started wearing the correct socks. Cotton socks are not good for running because they absorb a lot of moisture and they just hold onto it. So I would get some kind of synthetic blend material for your socks, because it'll help wick the moisture and keep your feet as dry as possible. Because a lot of times when you're getting blisters, it's either because your shoes are too tight or it's because your socks are just holding a lot of moisture. Some people's feet sweat more than others, and that's kind of inevitable. You're just going to experience that, and it's unfortunate, but there are things that you can use to help you from stopping your feet to get really wet and really uncomfortable and really blistery. But yeah, I would say if you're going to buy anything at the start, buy some good running socks. Okay, right now my favorites are I don't even know the names, I'll put them here, the ones that I like the most, and I get them at REI. They're like maybe $7. I could be lying. I'll put the price and everything up next to it too. The last thing I want to touch on is safety. A lot of people ask me about how I feel safe when I'm running. One, I really don't run at night very often, and if I have run at night, it's been in a group, it's been with a lot of people. I like to scope out areas that I go to before I run. Try to find a place that you feel safe at, and try to find a place that is pretty populated. A lot of the parks that I now go to are very populated most of the time. There's one park that I like that sometimes I get a little creeped out because it's a really long trail, and if I get a bad feeling, I turn around. Like, that's it. If I'm like, okay, I haven't seen anybody in like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, like I'm going to turn around, okay? Because it freaks me out. And I don't know, you know, as a woman, sometimes I feel, even now, as much as like I wish I could give you guys all the answers to feeling safe as a runner, like you're never going to feel 100% safe, and it's really unfortunate. But there are things that you can do to keep yourself safe and to try to make sure that you feel okay. One of them that I do that I think is really important is on the Nike Run app, which is what I use along with my Garmin to track my runs, is I will send my wife my location. Like, so on the Nike Run app, when you're starting a run, it's like, oh, do you want to tell this person that you're starting a run? And you can send it to them, and they can track you throughout your entire run. So from start to finish, they know exactly where you're at. Also, the Apple Watch has a setting where if you fall or you get injured or something like that, it has an SOS mode. So that's really great. And then I also just keep stuff on me. If something ever happened, I like to make sure that I could somehow protect myself, and I keep those with me. I have an alarm, I have pepper spray, and I have like a weapon. I don't know if I can say that. I have an alarm, I have a pepper spray, and I have something else with me. But you have to do what feels comfortable to you. I know people who only run with their partners. I wish my partner was a runner, but she is not into it. We're going to get her into it. Girls, don't worry, okay? She's going to be in some running vlogs with me soon. And some people do that, and that's how they feel safe. I think that's something else to note too, is that not everybody feels safe enough in their neighborhood to run, and that's completely understandable. But there were places that I lived in the past, especially when I was in the military, that I was like, I am not going to run here because I will get snatched up, okay? Like, I would get scared, and so I just wouldn't go on a run at all. I think that's something definitely to take into account. Like, I want you guys to be safe when you're going out there. If you know that you're in an area that you would not be safe running at, don't run there. Don't do it, okay? Like, if you're able to drive somewhere, drive somewhere. If you're able to take the train somewhere, take the train somewhere. If you know that the place that you're at is not going to be safe for you as a woman or as a runner or anything like that, take the precautions to make sure that you can be safe, because that is so, so important. And your safety is number one. I actually should have put this at the beginning of the video. Your safety is number one. Make sure that you can run somewhere safe. What I used to do is I would just drive to like really bougie neighborhoods and run over there. And like, obviously, I know now in hindsight that just because it's bougie doesn't mean that it's safer, but there are obvious things in some neighborhoods where I'm like, I can't run here. But in these neighborhoods, sometimes I would just be like, I'm just going to run around and look at the big houses. And then I would be like, some of these people are probably evil, but I digress. So just make sure that you're taking your safety into account. Some people go out and they don't even think about safety when they're running, and you need to think about it. As scary as it is, and as uncomfortable and frustrating as it is, you have to think about your safety. So make sure that you're doing things that make you you feel safe and that actually are safe. I highly recommend sending your location to people when you're running so that they know where you're at and so that they can track you in case anything happens. So yeah, that was kind of it for this video. I feel like I ended it on a bummer, which sucks. Let me see, maybe there's something else I can tell you before I end this video on such a you know what, this is what I'll say. If you're just starting running and you need inspiration, find it within yourself. I am one of those people where I spend a lot of time looking at other people for inspiration. You might be looking at me for inspiration. You might be looking at all these other people for inspiration. Eventually, that thing is going to burn out, and you have to be able to reach within to become a better runner, to get faster, to keep the drive to want to run is going to come from you. And if you clicked on this video, I'm going to be honest, I feel like you already have the drive in you. If you made it this far in the video, you already have it in you. A lot of times people think that like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do that. My mindset is always, if you have the desire, if you have the drive, if you have the inclination to want to do something, that means that it's for you. It is for you, okay? That's it. And that's all it has to be. When I first started my journey, I took a lot of inspiration from people that I saw on social media and people that I saw that were just kind of like in shape or whatever. And then I realized that like, I'm never going to be that person because I'm me. And I have to be happy with who I am and excited about who I am in order for me to make progress in a way that's sustainable for me, in a way that's realistic for me. Don't use me or anybody else you see on social media as like a decision maker for you. Look inward and decide what you want. Decide how you want to go about it. Decide what is realistic for you, because there's a girl that I follow. I love her so much. I will never run as fast as her. Ever, ever. I wish I could. And now I'm able to look at her and be like, damn girl, you go. But in the beginning, it sometimes it tore me down. Like it really made me feel just sad because I was like, oh, I want to run that fast. I'm never going to get there, blah, blah, blah. And I may never get there now, but I don't feel any type of animosity towards that. Now I see her content and I'm like, yeah, I love that. Good for you. Like you just made me want to go on a run. I'm not trying to go on a run to be as fast as you. I just want to go out and run and be outside. If you want to start running, it is within you. If you clicked on this video or you click on other videos or you watch videos of people running because you get really inspired by it, I promise you, it is something that is within your grasp and is something that is for you. You have to give it time. Okay, so we're going to do a little recap really quick in case you want it for the end of this video. So number one is to start out nice and slow. Make sure that you're stretching before your runs. Make sure that you're taking your electrolytes if you need it. Running faster and running longer are things that are not going to happen in the very beginning of your journey. Those are things that are going to happen later on. But when you want to start running longer, I would recommend doing some kind of interval training and just running longer. And if you're trying to get more towards speed, I would work on doing speed work like hills, interval training, and track speed runs. If you're looking for some kind of programming, you can get a coach. You can use an app like the Nike Run app, Runna, or Couch to 5K. Fueling is a personal preference. It's going to be up to you. You have to test it out. I would say not to eat a lot of fiber before a run. If you can eat some slow digesting foods, I think that's a great idea. Those are personal things. You know, same thing with taking an element packet. That's personal because I sweat a lot when I run. Breathing, again, is kind of up to you. You're going to have to figure it out as you go along. But I would say try to breathe with your cadence. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And the slower that you start on your run, the easier it's going to be to keep your breathing and your heart rate low. The last two things are about gear and safety, making sure that you get fitted for running shoes properly. You don't need anything fancy in the beginning. You can start out with just what you have at home. Do not go out and buy like a million things that you may not need or that you may not use. Figure out where you're at the very beginning of your journey before you start buying things so that you know what you would be comfortable with when you actually go to the store and need to try something on. You can be like, okay, these shorts are a little bit too short. My legs are going to rub together. I don't want my arms rubbing. I'm going to get a short sleeve shirt instead of a tank top, blah, blah, blah. I'll also put on the screen the thing I use for my legs because my legs do rub together a lot. So if you need that, it's right here. Get running socks. Get running socks. Don't wear cotton socks when you're running. It's not going to be good. Your feet are going to get blisters and it's going to be bad. And then the last thing is just safety. Make sure that you're keeping yourself safe. Try to run in areas that you know are safe for you and try to make sure that you are keeping your safety as the number one thing. Again, I wish I put this at the beginning of this video, and I didn't, but make sure that you're staying safe and always, always, always make sure that you're drawing inspiration for your running journey from within yourself. It's okay to take inspiration from people in the beginning if you need something to kick off your journey. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but make sure that as time goes on, like you have to get it from within. It's going to come from you. It's going to come from inside you to keep you going when the runs are really hard or when it's winter time or when it's summer and it's really hot. Make sure that you're doing it for you. Okay. So That's it for this week's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I am moving out of this apartment soon. I think we'll have maybe 1 or 2 more videos in this apartment, and I can't wait to move. And if you're following along on my 100 Days of Summer Fitness Challenge, we are still in it. We're still in it. We're going strong. I want to bring you guys through another couple of days of my life doing the challenge because I'm feeling really, really good, and I'm just really excited. So we're going to get back onto the 100 Days of Summer Fitness Challenge in the next couple of days. And outside of that, I'm just going to be moving and getting out of this moldy apartment. So thank you so much for joining me on this week's video, and I will see you guys next week for another one. Bye.